Langford. Josh, if you can pull there you go. Perfect. We'll take questions for Josh in the chat. First question comes from Kyle Austin.
Josh, wondering if you could just kind of start with the emotions after this one. Obviously, you guys played so much better in so many ways, but, couldn't get the win. What does that kind of feel like?
It's tough, man. It's tough. I mean, especially when, like you said, we had so many spurts within the game when we were playing really well. Give credit to Iowa. They are a great team, but at the end of the day, I think, we still kind of shot ourselves in the foot. It's no need to put our heads down because the season is still continuing. So we just have to learn from this and just keep moving forward.
Our next question is from Lindsey Huddleston.
Hey, Josh, tough game, no doubt. You went up for a dunk, something that's we haven't seen that in a while. What were you thinking to even feel that comfortable to take it there like that?
Well, I'm just trying to win. When you're trying to win, you do anything that you can to help your teammates win. That's the only focus right now. Just trying to keep learning and get a win and just keep moving forward and try to build.
Yeah, and a quick follow-up, your teammate, Markey, 5 fouls, 0 points, but he definitely had presence out there. Can you talk about what it means to be out there, even though you're not scoring points, but still being a presence out there to help?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Marcus is really good around the basket in terms of just altering shots and, just making guys, alter their shots. And so, I mean, even though he didn't necessarily score offensively, he still gave us a push.
Thank you.
Our next question will come from Audrey Dahlgren.
Hi, Joshua. How would you best describe the offensive progression for you guys from Rutgers and Ohio State to tonight's game, especially from the three?
Say the last part again.
How would you describe your progression, especially from beyond the arc, your 3-point shooting? Because you started out the game, 6 for 6 from three.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a credit to, our coaching staff, getting us in and getting us to watch film and just see how we need to have better spacing. Spacing wasn't as good against Ohio State. And so we tried to make a conscious effort of being better with our spacing and moving the ball offensively and just try to, make easier shots instead of making, maybe great shots, tough shots, because we're not in the right spots and things like that. So, so I think we did progress on that.
It did seem to, with a quick follow-up, a little bit more fluid tonight as well, the offense. And so was that because you guys were able to get some shots up at Carver Hawkeye or do a shoot around? I mean, how else would you kind of describe it?
Like I said, I think that, I guess maybe kind of say the same thing I said earlier in terms of just, getting those inside out shots, getting those shots that, when you're deep in the corner. And then, getting a feel for the gym. I think it did help us that we practiced, the other day. And so I just think we just have to keep progressing and just learn and just try to build.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Our next question is from Brendan Quinn.
Josh, 2 for you. One with, maybe the toll that this stretch has taken on your guys' confidence and whatnot. Do you kind of feel like you guys need to learn how to win again, and especially like in a close Big Ten game, make the plays late? Is that kind of something that you have to figure out all over again, how to win those types of games? You know what I mean?
I just think we have to learn how to win, regardless of, close games that are close, games that are, that are spread out. I just think we have to learn how to come together as a team and just continue to bear down and just make the right plays, make winning plays. With some plays that I had personally that, when you get in the Big Ten and you get down the stretch, those things, they may be small plays, to you personally, but they add up. And so you can't have too many, bonehead mistakes because it's the little foxes that still will get you. And so to answer your question, I think we just have to bear down and just be more focused and just be more locked in terms of, doing the things that we need to do and following our assignments.
And for you personally, 16 shot attempts tonight, probably a lot of tough twos. Do you is that something that you're like really emphasizing, is getting your shots up right now in terms of trying to put some production on the board, or how do you kind of feel about your shot selection?
I'm just trying to win the game. It's whatever my team, needs me to do. I think a lot of shots, some of the shots I took probably could have took maybe a 3 instead of a 2, but at the end of the day, I'm not necessarily all the way focused on my shots. I'm just trying to win. We need to get a win. And so whatever it takes, for us to get a win, whether that means I get, 16 shots or 2 shots, that's really not the case right now. We just trying to get a win.
Gotcha. Thanks, Josh.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, we have 2 final questions for Josh. We'll go to Chris Solari and wrap with Rico Cooney. Chris.
Josh, I'd imagine it's kind of hard right now to look at big picture with NCAA tournament berths and anything big beyond that. So how do you kind of focus in on those things that you say, the little attention to detail things, and not let that creep into your head that, you guys right now are 2-7 in the Big Ten?
I think you have to have the mentality that yesterday was last night and the future isn't necessarily promised. The only thing you have is the present moment. And so, you have to make sure that you lock in on what you have to do now, because all you have is now. And, the season isn't over. We have some games left. We had a Big Ten tournament. So, you can't get too far ahead of yourself, because it'll take you out of the present moment. And when you're out of the present moment, you can't be your best self. And so us as a team, as hard as it is, you do hear those thoughts and you do hear those comments, but we have to focus in on now and making the decision to just do what we need to do right now to get better.
All right, and our last question will come from Rico Cooney.
Hey, Josh, talk a little bit about where you are individually as far as your rhythm, your shot selection, your wind. Coach had talked about, he didn't want to push you too hard to get you back to being the old Josh you were after all the injuries. But talk about where you are as far as your shot and maybe getting to feel like you used to feel when you were out there before the injuries.
It's definitely been, my last official basketball game was, outside of the season, was December 27th, 2018. So that's 2 years that I missed. So it's definitely going to be, different trying to get your timing and your rhythm back. But, at the end of the day, I think it's, you got to have a fine balance. You can't focus too much on yourself, because if you start focusing on yourself, it'll kind of take you out of, what you can do for the team. And so I have to just keep that balance and realize that, my game is going to come, but I just have to still do all the other things that my team needs me to do to just try to help, us win. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, Josh, I appreciate it. That's all we have for you tonight. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
We'll be joined by Coach Izzo here in a second. All right, at this time, we're joined by Coach. If you want to start us off with an opening thought. Coach, you're muted there.
I was proud of them. I thought we moved the ball well. I thought we shot the ball really well early. I didn't think we defended as well as we can. I thought there were some mistakes there. I just keep playing Josh Langford more minutes than he can play, and then he misses that 6-footer and doesn't guard at the end, and That's my fault. That's not his fault. He's running out of bodies. And, you know, I don't know how many minutes he played today. I can't read these things, you tell me. But it just is too many for what he can do in 3 games, 32 minutes again. It's a shame, you know, he has a 6-foot shot that he makes 90% of the time, that little pull up. But we didn't do the things we needed to do down the stretch. I thought that our defense, our weak side, the offensive rebound, I thought there were some ridiculous calls. And so I don't say that very often, but I'm going to say it. And combination of things was disappointing. So I'm proud of them for bouncing back. They played a great team. We had more threes the first half than we probably had in the last 2 games, for God's sakes. And, you know, we moved it good. We rebounded it good. We turned it over 8 times. We did everything except check a little better and try to tackle a guy that sat in the lane for hours. And we didn't do a good job of that.
First question tonight comes from Graham Couch.
Tom, there have been times this season where other teams have gotten rolling and teams kind of, I don't want to say falling apart, but things have gotten away from you. There were a couple moments in this game early in the second half. It's an 8-point game. It looks like things may go poorly. Then it's 79-70. There was moments of resolve and response. Were those some of the biggest things you take from this?
I'd say so. I think that's a very good point that, you know, we've been through so much and being on the road like we've been these last 3 games has been draining. And, you know, everybody got together in the huddle and really talked about that we had a chance, and we made a couple big plays, and God, Frosty missed a couple of great shots, and Kid is one of my best shooters. You know, he was 1 for 8 tonight. And I thought Josh missed a couple of great looks, and but we got to get more out of Joey Hauser, and we got to get Aaron Henry. I did a lot, but again, I played him so many minutes. He was dragging at the end. They just kept, give them credit. They just kept throwing people at us. I mean, Bohannon, how many minutes did he play? I mean, he hardly even played 19 minutes. They just threw guard after guard after guard and wore us down. And so, you know, we have to deal with that. Maybe we'll get Gabe back sometime this year, and that'll help. And we can get Aaron back to, Josh back. You know, his conditioning is decent, but his legs, I mean, there's just nothing left there. And that's why every shot was short there in that second half. And I thought he played his tail off too. So I thought there was some resolve. I thought Julius, after playing very average the first half, played a lot better the second half. But they just let him just bulldoze in there. And it's just, I don't know. Next question.
Next question is from Lindsay Huddleston.
Hey, Tom, unscientific poll. People are saying they like the way the team played. And I know moral victories don't end up in that left side, but was there something different going into this game with your pregame that looked different? Because it seemed like you guys are trying to turn the corner right now. Is that something you see right now?
I'll be honest with you. People will laugh at this statement. Probably most of you will, but I've been so soft on my team because it's been so difficult to, and I said, I'm taking the gloves off too. You know, we're not playing with the tenacity that Spartans play with. I talked to a very, very successful coach today, maybe the best in the business. And he kind of thought that about his team, you know, are you losing the culture? Well, and I had a good friend of mine tell me, you know, why are you coaching them with kid gloves? I said, because I don't know what they can take. And so the kid gloves came off a little bit, you know, and problem is I had to use more on the officials than I did on my team. And I think those guys, you know, Aaron challenged some people, Rocket challenged some people. You know, I thought, you know, we just got to get more out of our bigs in some ways. And but our best players, you know, Aaron, Joey, and Josh, you know, they got to be really good. And Josh, I think he was 5 for 16 or 18. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. I thought he took like 1 bad shot. You take 16 shots, you got 1 bad shot. It's amazing. And it just, God, I thought they were dead in too. I was looking behind him on the bench, and they were just all short. And that's the way it is, and that's the way it's going to be. maybe we can get a little rest. He's had about 3 days of practice since he's been back because we've been traveling so much. Maybe tomorrow we get a day off, and maybe Thursday and Friday he can get back in somewhat shape with his legs. That'll be the chore, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Next, we'll go to Kyle Austin.
I'm just wondering, I mean, how difficult is it for your big men on a night like tonight? I mean, they're trying to slow down Garza, but with the fouls going the way they are, it seemed like all of them were in foul trouble, kind of going in and out. I mean, what was kind of the challenge for them tonight?
Yeah, like I said, I did not appreciate some of the calls. It just seems like, and we didn't do a good enough job. We were going to double. They came, this is the story of the year. They came, the Fredrickson kid wasn't supposed to play, and then he plays and changes who we were going to double off of and all this. And then, to be honest with you, he benched some of his guys. I give him credit, man. Bohannon, I don't know how many minutes he played, but those other two guards are the ones that hurt us. And they just drove us and went to the free throw line. How many free throws they get?
35.
35 free throws. I mean, it just jump into you, drive into you, foul you, and then every time you touched the big guy, there was a foul. And I didn't appreciate that. But we got to do a better job, so I got to do a better job.
Up next is Chris Solari.
Kind of and a little bit of a follow with that. I mean, it seemed like there were points where you guys did a good job on Garza, but the Nunge kid in the first half kind of got a couple of those buckets. I guess what happened there?
Yeah, we tried to put Joey on another guy so we could double, and then when he had a guard Nunge, he just didn't do as good a job. We kind of lost him a little bit because we're trying to double. I mean, when you can throw people around in the post, we don't have anybody that big to deal with them, and so we're trying to double some, and then often all of a sudden Nunge hits too. I mean, I don't know what he's shooting for the year, but it wasn't very good, and he made a couple. So you pick your poison. You do what you got to do. And yet I still say a couple cutouts, a couple of knowing who goes left and right. And I think it was just fatigue. I mean, Aaron Henry played his tail off. He was dead. Josh played as hard as he could play. He was dead. The other guys, we just made some mistakes. And I give them credit for the most part. We followed the scouting report. We did a good job. We had a good practice. We had 3 walkthroughs because you couldn't practice much when you're on the road like this. So the hotel was a walkthrough. We had built the court in there, and I thought they responded really well. I really felt we were going to win the game. Isn't that weird? I mean, I said it today. I told people we're going to win this game. I told my team we're going to win this game. Is it a turning point? No, it's not a turning point. We're Michigan State. We're not get a moral victory. But did we play better? Did we play with some intensity? Did we move the ball better? Did we not turn it over? Did we make some freaking shots for once? Yeah, all those things were true. And yet maybe where I'm, Hauser got in such foul trouble early, that really hurt us and him because he had already hit a shot. And we just couldn't take the chance of playing one because the way they were calling it. So that hurt. And then it caused me to, I was going to play Malik some at the 3, but I had to play him at the 4 because Joey was out and just kind of ran out of bodies.
How do you keep these guys focused on the next 1 rather than maybe the next 11?
That's no problem. That's the least of my worries. We're not worried about the next 11. I mean, I don't even know if we'll get in 11. I don't know what we'll get in. I don't know how this whole thing's going to work. Nobody knows. The next thing will happen is some other team will get COVID. All I'm focusing on is us getting better. Because if we do get better, this is not a team that's as bad as we are. We lost 2 tough games. One at Purdue, where I thought at the end of the game there were some things that happened that, and those cost you. And then you kind of go on from there. Then you come back after the 20 days. Guys, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. You can say other teams respond different. Well, some of it depends on who's got COVID and who doesn't. I mean, I'm down 2 coaches. So that's another big excuse that you can write. But the main part of this is when you sit there and you don't practice for 12, 14 days, and you don't practice with your key people. I mean, poor Marty, he didn't get up and down at all tonight, and he had been playing pretty good. It's just the way it is, and I don't know how long it'll take Gabe. I don't know how long it'll take Josh to come back. I got to be more careful with Josh, and that bothers me, but I was so stuck, wanted to win. He said he was good enough to go, but him and Aaron were beat up after. I'll just say that. I ain't worried about 11. I'm worried about next game. That's all I'm worried about. We got to win games, get better, and somebody better hope we don't get on a little streak.
All right, we have 3 final questions. We'll start with Rico Cooney.
Coach, you've been talking about Josh, and I know you want to get him rest and kind of get, but he looks like he's starting to, or maybe on the cusp of turning a corner. I mean, he looked solid against Ohio State, and then tonight he looked, I guess, he's a lot more comfortable. Am I reading that wrong, or?
Oh no, you're reading that right on. If I would have played him 25 instead of 32 and 3 in the last 2 games, I think he would have made more shots. But you're reading that right on the money. I mean, let me tell you, Josh has done everything he can do. I mean, to think about him practicing for 2 days before I played him 20 some minutes at Rutgers, and then practicing another one day, and we played Ohio State. He played 32 minutes, and then really we flew here and we practiced here Monday for an hour and 40 minutes, and then played today. So, you know, he's had about 3 days of practice. I definitely think he's turning the corner. He worked so hard. I tell you, those shots he missed, I loved every shot but one he took. When you'd say that about 16 shots, I just got no issues with that. I thought he did a hell of a job of that. I played him too much, and that's my fault, not his.
Thank you.
Next, Audrey Dahlgren.
Hey, Tom, I know it's how you finished the game, but the way that you started offensively was just a much improvement from the last 2 games. So what do you credit that to? I mean, because you go 4 for 5 to open the game, 6 for 6 from 3. So what's the biggest, how do you view that? What's the biggest difference there? Why were you,
yeah, it's a good question, because it's not like we got a lot of time to shoot, but I did think we got better shots. I thought we moved the ball better. I thought we did a good job of that. I thought passes were good. We only had 8 turnovers, so there was good ball movement. We're getting in the rhythm. And the real thing we thought we could do, we thought we could really run them. But there were so many fouls that then it stopped, and then they, put that little pester press on. I think we had 1 turnover on that. That wasn't that. It just that it stopped us from running. We just couldn't run because we couldn't stop them. Everything was a foul. And that's the way it went. So that took away a big part of our offense that was there early. We were getting those wing shots because of our break. And we just did a, I guess, poor job of fouling.
Thank you.
Next, Brendan Quinn.
Before my question, I just want to clarify one thing. You said that you guys were without 2 coaches because of COVID?
Yeah.
So obviously, Fife.
Wojcik.
Wojcik?
Yeah.
Okay. And
Brendan, I'm going to tell you something that's funny, and I don't care, but that's the least of our worries. We got to have players. It's players. So don't worry about, write all you want, but don't worry about the coaches. No insult. If I get it, they don't need me. They just need to play better. So go on.
Yep. Well, I'm going to ask you a coaching question though. But, you mentioned not being able to coach with, or not maybe go at guys with tenacity or whatever you want to call it. Like, what does
certain way is what I want to call it.
Okay.
The beauty of it, as you know, I had a birthday. I don't even know why in the hell, they have those things, because all they're for is so all your former players can text you. But in the hundreds of texts I got, I think that was the common denominator of all of them from the former players. We got to get back to culture. We got to get back to playing. Now, everybody doesn't realize how many days some of these guys have missed and how it's been all summer. And, they don't realize that. But maybe I've done a poor job too, because it's hard to push guys when they're worried about getting it. They're worried about every test. Today it was get here and have a party because nobody tested positive. That's draining on a player. And I've talked to a couple of big time coaches about that in the last couple of days. And so, it's not that I'm afraid of, I'm past the point of getting sued, it don't bother me anymore. But I'm just telling you that, you do have some compassion and empathy for people because it's a tough time for them. And, but I told them today, I don't think I'm very good that way, and I don't think they respond. And, we got after it a little more, and even in the meetings. And, I think it was good. So maybe we're all growing a little bit here. Put it this way, guys, if we would have played this good, we would have won a lot of games. So if you want to take that, that's something you can take from it. We would have won a lot of games. But the ability to reach down when things are on the line, come up with a big defensive play, we're just not there yet. And I think it's because of the lack of depth that I thought I had so much of, but just don't have as much because of the way it's been.
Is there kind of a degree of having to relearn how to win, especially kind of close games like this? Because it's been a while since you've had, make killer plays in the last 2 minutes and things like that.
Yeah, I'd say so. And yet we were down 79-70. I thought we made some great plays. We took some great shots. Frosty had that one in the corner. Oh my God, I bet on him 9 out of 10. And, great plays, great ball movement. I thought, as I told Aaron, he's got to get fouled a little bit more at the end when he drives in there. It seemed like they got fouled every time they drove. Sometimes we're avoiding those, and we got to get better at that. But do you have to learn how? Probably. We're trying to learn a lot of things. When you have 20 days off, you're learning a lot of things that you didn't do, and we're going to do a better job of it. We'll get a couple of days of practice in and see if we can, this will give them a boost of confidence of this. If you move the ball, if you don't turn the ball over, if you give them good passes, if you rebound pretty well, a lot of good things will happen. If we didn't foul as much tonight, if I had to take one thing that changed the game, it was the fouls. And it wasn't because of the free throws they shot, which were in the hundreds, but it was the fact that it negated our fast break a lot.
Gotcha. Thanks, Tom.
You're welcome.
And our final question comes from Graham Couch.
Yeah, Tom, I wanted to ask you about Rocket a little bit, and a guy who's been struggling mightily and found it for a while, and what you saw from him, and what you said to him.
It's like I said, it's been a struggle because I tried to play him at a certain position, and he wasn't ready for that, and so that was my fault. But when you play the 2 guard, you got to shoot better than he was shooting. So, it's something that's going to just take some time. And I was actually really happy how competitive he was tonight. He was good as anybody in the huddle. So if that can continue, I think that makes it a lot better for us. He still isn't defending like he used to, because I think he's trying to find himself. I mean, that's pretty common. But, for a team that is going through so much and, has got probably pressure on their back, I thought my guys handled things extremely well. There hasn't been bad practices. It gets a little owly on the bench because guys are just frustrated with themselves sometimes, aren't doing the things they need to do. But boy, for the most part, our practices have been good. We're going to make some progress here, but you got to win games too. And so that was a game that I thought maybe we could sneak that out like Purdue did our game, and we didn't do it. And so now we got to figure out a way, and we were right there. We did enough to win the game, and we didn't do enough to win the game. And fouling probably was the biggest part. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Coach. All right, and that's going to wrap us up tonight. Appreciate you guys joining us. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.